as we continue our Nextel Cup Series season, as we are race 3 early going to the campaign for this 2006 season, trying to win Dave Blaney a championship, and of course backmarker equipment. Bill Davis Racing, we do have one win on the season that came in a fuel mileage race at California a couple of days ago in race number 2, Daytona 500. We were leading on the last lap of the race, got caught up in the big one, ended up barrel rolling, didn't make it back to the checkered DNF, finished 25th. And as far as the race goes the other night, we had a top 10 car. Probably would have gotten about 8th or 9th place finish if I had to guess. But because of the fuel mileage game pitting during the second of only 2 yellows in that race, we were able to stretch the fuel window at the end in that first 50% race of the season. And the last car ahead of us that had to pit, Jamie McMurray, ran out with 2 laps to go. We ended up leading just 4 laps in that race entirely into getting that win. So by no means I had a top 5 or race-winning car, but we played the strategy right. The cautions fell our way. Will the cautions fall our way on the next intermediate track here tonight? We'll have to see. We'll be starting at the tail end of the field. No practice, no qualifying. Guest on a setup, trying to make it a little bit more challenging on ourselves. I think overall this track is probably going to be more challenging than California. The straightaways aren't as long, so the draft isn't going to play really hardly any factor in this one. And being back in traffic, obviously, I think it's going to hurt from the get-go. No clue how this car is going to be handling off the start. Appreciate everybody tuning in here today. Green flag is going to be in the air. We're racing Friday Night NASCAR. Here we go. Jeff Gordon on the pole for this one, by the way, as the green flag is waving. 400 miles, 267 laps in our second full race of the season. In our 3rd race overall on the year. First 400-mile race of the year. Greg Biffle starting at the very back of the field as well. A lot of 3-wide racing off the exit of turn number 4 as we get this opening lap complete at the start-finish line. Lenny trying to side draft Greg Biffle a little bit there. Oh. I don't think Elliott Sadler realized that Dave Blaney had a run underneath him. I don't know if there's like some sort of momentum in this game. Obviously, we had a lot of it with Mark Martin in our last season. A little contact with Casey Mears, and he's not too happy with us anymore. Don't hit me, Casey. I don't think he's mad enough to hit me. I think we're all right. Car feels good. Feels glued to the racetrack. It's the last race at Flat Vegas, by the way. We consider the fact only raced here once in the 06 season. Actually moving forward right now, though. 4 wide. I didn't even realize we were 4 wide until the spotter said something. 4 wide, middle of the corner now. Lane on that bottom lane, going to be able to pull clear. This 22 car is moving. If we get to the fast cars at the very front of the field, it'll be interesting to see what we have, but I checked too before this race started just to verify. We have C- equipment on intermediate tracks. I have more speed than what I thought I did at California. Qualified 25th in that one. We're already in the top 20 here today. That's with no practice or qualifying. Car feels great. Feel like I nailed the setup. Ryan Berwick and Billy Kramer, by the way, welcome to the stream. You guys are the first in the chat down below. Blaney up to 16th. Still about 2 seconds off the race lead. Jeff Gordon's led the first 5 laps. He looks to be pulling away from the rest of the field up there. The apron's got quite a bit of grip here at this Flat Vegas track. I don't know if that's going to be the case on the long run, because I noticed at California early in the run I could run the apron. Once the tires started to fall off in the back half of the run, I couldn't do that anymore, so that might be the case here as well. I do have a little bit more downforce in it today than what I had at California. Because I wanted a little bit more straightaway speed, because I knew I wasn't going to have the fastest car. Here I just wanted overall grip, especially knowing that this was a 100% race versus the California race was not. Contact between Harvick and Blaney there, getting into turns 1 and 2. I definitely flatlined my entry. Surprised I didn't wipe him out, hitting him in the left rear quarter panel where I did. On 1771, thanks for tuning in also. Things are looking good. Oh. Oh boy. A lot of contact with Dale Jarrett. Still moving forward though. 3 wide into 1. We might have the fastest car in the field. I mean, Gordon's pulling away from second, but we've gone from last to 5th in 9 laps. It's unprecedented speed out of the 22. It's like Ward Burton at Darlington those few years he won there. But we're not at Darlington in the same car. Just had to knock that first career win out of the way, and then that opened the floodgates potentially here. This is unbelievable. Up to second place for Dave Blaney in just 10 laps. From last to second. I swear this is legend difficulty. I showed you the settings before we started the season, too. I mean, technically, I guess I could change them, but I am not changing it. I don't know what's going on here. I thought just the drafting aspect, made us quick. I mean, again, I had about 8th or 9th place car in Fontana. I think this being a flatter track helps us because the flatter tracks are my specialty in the Mark Martin season. I almost wonder if that's the case here, too. I guess we'll find out at Atlanta what kind of real 1.5 mile speed we'll have tomorrow night, but I cannot believe what's going on. I mean, we're closing in on Jeff Gordon, too. There's real speed in this 22 car. Got to stay on the right strategy and really try to capitalize off of this tonight. Taking that shortcut for the first time down to the apron through the tri-oval. Jimmy Johnson back in that 3rd place spot. We don't know what the long run speed's going to look like yet either. I mean, the tires could fall off a ton on this car. We never know. Wade Slinsky, thanks for tuning in. Easy Network also thanks for tuning into the stream. Big run for Blaney, looking for the lead. Underneath Jeff Gordon. Going to sail it off into turns 1 and 2. Gordon with a big block. And Blaney gets the run on corner exit. Gordon side drafting Blaney. Big time down the back stretch. Trying to stay door to door into 3 and 4. Really holding the 22 car tightly to the bottom. Blaney trying to use that apron to his advantage. Still side by side for the race lead. And at the line, it looks like Jeff Gordon will... Well, I don't know. Maybe I did lead that lap. It's hard to tell. It was very close. Should have been side by side for the lead for almost a lap and a half now. Just clear off turn 2. Dave Blaney out in front at Vegas. 15 laps to go from last to first. I mean, that's just insane. Yep. Okay, so I didn't lead the lap before that. Because my crew chief just told me now that I have 5 bonus points. It was very close. I saw the position ticker going back and forth between 2 and 1 when we got to the line that last lap. Thought there's a chance I could have led it, but the crew chief didn't mention anything about leading my first lap for bonus points, so wasn't 100% sure. Yeah, track's definitely more fast with the progressive banking for sure. 29 to 30 second lap time, so we're running like high 31s, and these are fast laps. Yeah, I saw your comment. I tried to get to it as soon as I can. We were in a lap and a half battle for the lead. I did see it. I didn't acknowledge it initially, but yeah, it's that point in the season where you see a lot of call-ups for these teams that are pretty much out of playoff contention in baseball. Call guys up, see what they got. You know, basically like spring training before next year's spring training. Yeah, it was some tough news to see earlier. It was kind of a... I'll get to more on my side at the very end of the stream because I got a little public service announcement. Well, really a couple of them, but one serious one. But yeah, Stakes said Scott Bloomquist also passed away today, so that's it's tough. Helicopter crash, right? Plane crash or plane or a helicopter? One of the two. It might have been plane, like a family plane. I guess it was like on his family's property too, where he had crashed. So it must have been just like a bad landing or something. I didn't realize he was 61 years old. I knew he had been in the dirt racing scene for a long time. Or 60, I guess, technically. It wasn't his birthday yet, but the... Yeah, I didn't realize he was 60 years old. Yeah, I remember seeing Jay Shung in the lineup that night. I went to the Hens game. Tell you what, track position is key here. We're not pulling away, but I don't feel like I'm in any danger of giving up the lead either. This car handles great. And even if we lose the lead, I mean, we're going to be up in contention all night as long as we stay on the right strategy at this point. Well, now we just try to lead as many laps as we can and try to go for a max points day. We're still 7th in the standings after finishing 25th in the Daytona 500, so we got a lot of guys to jump to try to get to the points lead. And for instance, a couple of those guys that are ahead of us in the standings are running right behind us, Jimmy Johnson, Kurt Busch. Kurt Busch is the points leader coming into the night. Johnson's second. Only 5 points separating the top 3 in the standings. But again, only 2 races into the year, you're going to see the standings as tight as they are up towards the top of the screen. Oh, wow, big run to the outside for Jeff Gordon. I will say he's that one car that's able to really run that outside lane well. Because it took us a lap and a half to actually complete the pass on him when I got underneath him for the lead earlier. Just protecting this bottom. Yeah, the Williamsport game. I might be able to catch it on my way back. Listen to it at least from the track. It could be a washout Sunday as well, so I might end up seeing it anyway. I mean, ideally, the race started on time and there was no weather impact, it would get done before that game started anyway, but it wouldn't take me too long to get back. Crash into a barn, oh jeez. Yeah, I didn't know too much of the details of it other than, yeah, family property, apparently family farm. Plane crash. He was just in a pretty horrific accident there a couple months ago, too. In a late model. And was he back in the car since he got in that accident a couple months ago? You guys will have to let me know. Even when I followed, dirt racing, it's mostly sprint cars, so not so much on the late model side of things. I know of the name Scott Bloomquist just because he's, like, the GOAT. Comes to late models. But there's a chance of rain Sunday. I don't know exactly what time yet. I had to wait for the hour-by-hour forecast within 48 hours of the race. Last time I checked at like 3 o'clock. 3 o'clock in Brooklyn, Michigan, where Michigan International Speedway is. 3 p.m. Sunday night. Looking at rain. So I hit the wall. And we'll get back up there. Get back down to the bottom first. Well, Kurt Busch to the lead for the first time. They'll get 5 bonus points. ARCA race on now, yep. Yeah, I saw they were supposed to race in Michigan tonight. I will be doing Xfinity Series coverage tomorrow. If for whatever reason rain with being in the forecast tomorrow afternoon as well at Michigan International Speedway, if rain washes tomorrow's Xfinity race and I will not be able to do it on Sunday, I'll end up just going to the track earlier that day to catch both races. So that's the plan for me, at least. Need my predictions? I don't know. It's a debut. I think you mentioned something to me a couple weeks ago about a prediction on... I mean, debuts... They've never faced big league pitching, obviously, before, so that could be a struggle of its own, but the pitcher doesn't have a good scouting report. I feel like more often than not, players in their first career game tend to get a hit, I would think. I don't know what the stat line is on that exactly, but I feel like over 50% of the time they tend to get a hit. Assuming they play the whole game, of course. I'm not accounting for getting pinch hit after 2 ABs or something. I mean, obviously they're not out of playoff contention yet, but I don't see them making it. So for that reason alone, I would assume that they'll play the whole game. Michigan, June 2017, Father's Day. I watched Larson win. Yeah, that was a good race. I've completely overdriven turns 1 and 2 twice now. Both times I was looking at the chat. Not your guys' fault. It's just my fault for looking at the chat a little too long down the straightaway. Yeah, Dingler got a hit in his debut. I remember you mentioning that. I was streaming during the game. Typically am. I didn't see what inning they scored both their runs in because I was at work. But I watched a little bit of the game. I think I watched pretty much all the fifth and the top of the sixth on my last break at work. And the post game was on when I clocked out, and I saw they won 2-1. I saw they only had 3 hits because it showed like the box score on Fox Detroit or Valley Sports Detroit on the left side of the screen. I was like Javi Baez 2 for 3, and then was it Parker Meadows had a hit too? Literally, like the 3 hits that we had were by like 2 of the guys with the worst batting average on the team. It didn't make any sense. That's baseball sometimes. Bottom of the 8th. It's crazy. I mean, that's like, I feel like that's, I don't want to say classic Tigers, but that's Tigers baseball in the last like 10 years, essentially. Good pitching. Can't hit worth a crap, but they can win some low-scoring games like that. And I do feel like most of the runs come in the later innings of the game, too, on bullpens. That was the case early in the year. It kind of fizzled out middle of the season, but I've noticed that again, really, since we got in that series against the Dodgers. And had some late-game heroics 2 games in a row, and scored a lot on their bullpen in that series. Vila in the booth tomorrow night. That's cool. Oh, tonight and tomorrow. Is Al Avila still in Detroit doing something there, or is he out? I think they got rid of him, but I'm not entirely sure. Yaley in second? Yeah, I believe so. J.J. Yaley's up in the top 5 right now. Take a picture. Get out your camcorders. What did they use back in 2006? Polaroids? Get out. What were those? Were those Polaroids where you had to get the film developed at like your local Rite Aid or something? A local drugstore? I remember that was my first camera when I was a kid. Go on like class field trips, I would take it with me, and didn't see those pictures for about a month after I took them. By that time, it was old news. My finger might have been in the lens on a couple of the pictures I took too. I was real little when I had that. I don't even know how I remember that, to be completely honest. Class field trips to the zoo and stuff. Elementary school. Big blocking down the back straightaway on Newman 2 laps in a row. He had some big runs off turn 2 to the bottom of the track. Car's getting tighter as the run carries on, I've noticed. Not unbearable. Still got to go about another 20 laps or so on fuel. Kodak, yeah, that was one of the brands. Was there multiple brands of that? I definitely know Kodak was one of them now that you mentioned that. I haven't used a payphone. I remember of them like working. Like I can remember people using them. I never did, just because I wasn't old enough, so I. But I can remember seeing people. There's another town like 10 minutes from where I grew up that I can remember one being on Main Street there and just seeing somebody in it randomly at times. I feel like that was kind of like the end of the payphone days anyway. If I lived in like inner city Toledo, I probably would have seen a lot more usage out of them. Inner city in Toledo, I think the only time I really ever saw a phone booth was like a homeless person laying in there if I'd go to a local Mud Hens game or walk into the stadium. Or if it was like a cold night during the winter or something and that was their way of keeping warm. Close themselves in the phone booth. They were probably the most upset about those things going extinct. The amount of germs contaminated in those phone booths, with that being the case too, like looking back on it, I'm glad I wasn't in the age of like having to use those things, because those things must have been so unsanitary. Yeah, homeless people just roaming around in there. Probably catch herpes at a random long distance call that you have to make. Broad daylight. After your 9 to 5 shift. Went out of style by the time I went to college. Yeah, that sounds about right. That sounds about right. Because I feel like it would have been like around the 2000s or so when I remember seeing them. Again, in that instance, I was pretty young, but I can definitely remember them though. Ooh, Harvick almost getting underneath Blaney. I will say, I think we're quicker in the short run. Well, I mean, we're obviously quick in the long run too, but I think the car definitely handles better in the early going. I don't want to loosen it up though. I'm scared that it's going to go too far. It's one of those things. It's not like the track changes a lot through these older games. That's something I'm interested to see with NASCAR 25. If the track changes quite a bit with iRacing taking setup. I've never really, well, I wouldn't say I've never done iRacing. I haven't had like my own iRacing setup before. But you have to let me know if any of you guys in the chat do iRacing. If the track like changes from start to finish or over the course of a run rather than just the car. Kind of curious. Especially if you do a longer race like this. Which we will be doing when that rolls out. Next year. Yeah, J.J. Yaley back in second place again. 50 laps into this race at Vegas. Having an unbelievable start. Again, we will be pitting about lap 62, 63, somewhere around there if I had to guess. Maybe we can go a couple laps after that. We'll see how we are on fuel when we get closer to that pit window. Yeah, I remember the big phone booths too. Good old Yellow Pages. Oh, Yaley going for the lead. Look at him drive down on the apron. Wash up into the 22. Not by a lot, just a little bit, but it's going to be enough for Yaley to lead his first lap of the day. I didn't have that on our bingo card tonight. J.J. Yaley, I don't know. It's not as impressive as us being the fastest car in the field, I don't think, though. Consider we're in a Bill Davis Racing Dodge. And don't need a better computer, though. I mean, at least it's good to kind of go in there and log laps, even if your computer isn't good enough. Do sessions by yourself or something. Offline sessions, I'd imagine, wouldn't be as bad. Eighth of a tank of gas left at this point in the run. Nobody's hit pit road yet. I'd imagine right around lap 60 we'll start seeing our first comers onto pit road. Fastest lap of the night that last time, 31.621. That's later in the run while leading, and still got these cars hot on our tail. I still don't believe that this is true, that we have this fast of a car. Like, it just does not feel... Like, it can't be this perfect. You would think something's going to go wrong. I hope it doesn't. I'm going to do everything in my power to make sure it's not going to be my fault at the very least. Can't speed on pit road. That's a big one. I'm probably not going to use the access road. Getting on and off of pit road this first time at least. We'll see how it goes without it the first time. I used to have my own wheel for the PS4, but not for the PS2. I've never had one for PS2. No wheel with the iRacing. I mean, I guess that's going to be me with the next NASCAR game. Jeff Gordon onto pit road. A few others behind him pitting lap 58, coming to lap 59. First stop of the night. Oh boy. I probably didn't need to go high to block Newman, but it worked. Still got back down to cover the bottom in front of Harvick. This car's short pitting, probably going to cycle out ahead of us, I'd assume. I'm going to go to lap 62 and then I'm going to pit. I think that's going to be a good number for me to come in. There's a lot of cars on pit road at the moment. Harvick, Newman staying out of the pits this time. Blaney continues to lead. Staying out as long as we are, compared to Jeff Gordon, a couple of those other cars that pitted. We know Gordon's got a fast car when he gets clean air too, so if he cycles out with no traffic around him, I'd assume he's going to end up taking over the lead. Newman lost a lot of time. I wonder if he made contact with Kevin Harvick potentially back there. Blaney's opened up about a 1 second lead all of a sudden. And both Newman and Harvick stayed on the track that last time by as well. And so Blaney will pit this time. Doesn't look like any cars are using the access road coming into the pits either. They might be using it leaving, but definitely not coming in. Blaney's on his way in. No adjustments, 4 tires and fuel for the 22. Bill Davis Racing Dodge. Appreciate all the likes on the stream, by the way. 15 of them already, and we're just in our first stop.
We're gonna add some wedge.
Clean stop, boys. Try not to lose too much track position. We stayed out about 4 laps longer than Jeff Gordon. Still some cars out there that were pitting before as well. Might be able to cycle in front of.
Take it easy on the bird. There's some traffic. Normally, you'd see him block you right about now.
It doesn't look like Casey Mears is using the excess road either. I'm glad I'm not the only one not using the excess road. Yaley cycled up in front of us. A few cars a lot further up ahead as well. Up to speed though. Just a clean stop on the 22 team. Blaney looking to get on by Jeremy Mayfield. It's like we're going to cycle in the 8th place position, looking to make a pass on Yaley, who also lost time in the pits. I didn't think we were going to lose that much time pitting as late as we did. But we did. All the way to the apron, makes a pass on Yaley for a spot. That passes for 7th. 31.595 fastest lap of the day on these fresh tires. Ethan, thanks for tuning in. I plan on getting a PS5. I've pretty much stuck with PlayStation my whole life. From the old PSP days, PS2, PS3. I did have an original Xbox for a little bit, but it's actually where I played. I think that's what I had NASCAR Chase for the Cup 2005 on for a little bit, and then I also had NASCAR 6 Total Team Control on that original Xbox at one point. Yeah, I'll get the PS5. I still got like a year. Usually when I'm playing games, you know, on my own time, when I do have the free time to do so, it's on my PS2 anyway. Like, I just literally fired up another NASCAR, or not NASCAR 06, Madden 06 gameplay. Doing a tournament right now. Started 6-0. Green Bay Packers. My last 2 games I won in overtime. They were tight. I didn't think I was going to beat the Ravens. I literally scored on the last play of regulation against the Ravens. I was trying to milk the clock. I milked it perfectly. It did come down to a 4th and goal from like the 3 with 1 second left though, so that was a tight game. Forgot how good that Ravens defense was back in 2005. My goodness. Turned the ball. It was raining though too, so I fumbled the ball twice, and that just killed me. It was a close game the whole way. I think they scored 2 touchdowns off both those turnovers eventually on that drive, the next drive too. The one was like 19 seconds left before the half. They had a scoop and score on me on one of the fumbles on a run play. That upset me. I was just literally trying to run the clock out to the end of the half, and then they fumbled it because I knew it wasn't going to do much. And it was raining. I'm like, I should have just taken a knee in hindsight. I ran the ball just in case I broke one open randomly. Took till the end of the game to get it back. Oh boy. Really tight getting off into turn 1 there. Tried to stay underneath Stewart through the front stretch. Didn't quite have a good corner exit to do it. Stewart got a side draft down the back straightaway, pinching Blaney off again. Blaney side drafts it back before angling off into turn 3. Blaney's back into position number 3 now. Dale Jarrett in 4th, having a good run there in the 88. Sadler won the Daytona 500. Blaney won at California on fuel mileage, and Jeff Gordon leads at lap 71 after starting on the pole here tonight at Las Vegas. Ryan Blaney. Dave Blaney has had the fastest car, though, overall. PS5 lags too much. like gameplay lag, or because I've heard like as far as like loading, there's like no loading process, and it's super quick. From what I heard, that was when it initially came out, though. However many years ago that's been now. Kind of can't believe I haven't gotten one as long as they have been out for now. I don't get, like, the only newer game I'd be somewhat tempted in getting is that new college football game that came out that I heard is pretty good. And I'm not one for playing online in a lot of like sports games over the last like decade or so. I've kind of switched to more of a focus on online games, and that's why I play, you know, these older, you know, Madden games and whatever, you know, sports games on my PS2, because the offline games are just so much smoother. They're arcadey, but to a certain extent, but I like it. Maybe it's an internet thing. I don't know if that has a lot to do with it. Maybe he got the broken PS5. I'm surprised this race going caution free through 74 laps. We haven't had lap traffic through a cycling of green flag stops. It goes to show how even the field is here from top to bottom. Maybe that's the problem. The field's like so even today that's why we're as competitive as we are. Too bad this is the only race at Las Vegas on the season, because definitely the fastest car we've had of all three races so far. And that's even leading 70 laps in the Daytona 500. I didn't lead the most that day, but... Or no, I did. Yeah, never mind. I did lead the most. I was thinking last race for some reason. Yeah, last race I definitely did lead the most. Only led 4 California, but we got the win. Weird how that works out. So we pulled off an upset on fuel mileage. It'd be cool to just go out here and actually win a race outright on speed. Because I still think we're not going to have many chances to do that this year, so we got to take advantage of it when we can. I know these flatter tracks work out for me pretty well, which I'm also glad that that is the case, because Martinsville's coming up in 3 races. It's race number 6. So yeah, we got Martinsville coming up soon. I will say Jeff Gordon's probably been the hardest car to pass today, too. I feel like it takes at least a full lap for me to clear him when I get underneath him every time. Second time that's been the case, and battling now for the race lead. Blaney back out in front, lap 77 here at Vegas. Membership for the PS5? Well, it's just like a PlayStation Plus membership, isn't it? I don't think that's that much different than like PS4. If you go to play like online and stuff, which I usually don't. I would like to play online with NASCAR 25 when it comes out. I do miss, you know, doing random online streams with the Heat 5, Heat 4 days. Yeah, Scott Riggs definitely helped me win California. His caution at lap like 43 or whatever it was, and me deciding to top off on fuel. I mean, the only reason I really even thought about doing that is because I was a lap down at the time. If I would have been at the front of the field, I might not have pit. I might have tried to keep my track position, only because I knew I didn't have a top 5 car. So to drive through the field, it wasn't going to be very promising that we were going to be able to do that. Not like tonight, or if I find myself in that kind of a situation later in the race, I can afford to go off strategy from the front of the field. But yeah, in that case, I was lapped down, so I just did opposite of everybody else. They all stayed out. I pit and was able to stretch the fuel window there to the end by a couple extra laps. Which was huge because, you know, being a lap down, if I would have finished like 25th 2 races in a row to start this season, that would not be good. Only got to be in the top 10 in points at the end of 26 races. We don't have to be the points leader. Obviously, points leader would be huge because we'd still go into the chase, chase playoffs as the #1 seed will have the most points. So, sure, I want to chase that, but at the very least, got to be in the top 10. And especially having the equipment we have. Lap 82 in this one as Dave Blaney leads at the Las Vegas Motor Speedway. Paul Menard about to go a lap down. It'll be the first lapper that the leaders will catch under green flag conditions here today. Blaney clear on the backstretch. Nice clean pass. We're going to alternate through our different camera angles for the first time in the race today. PS5 don't have a lot of space to save the games. Well, that sucks. Oh yeah, I forgot. They don't even have like actual copies of discs for PS5, do they? Or am I wrong on that? Do they actually have like the copy of the game? I've always liked getting the copy of the game when I can. Actually, the more recent games I would have bought with NASCAR Heat 4, NASCAR Heat 5 on the PS4, I did actually have the hard copy of the game. And that's for more nostalgic purposes than anything. Plus, if you go to return them, you can at least get some of your money back. Isn't the case if you buy them off the PlayStation Store. But if you go to re-download it, at least it'd be free. If it's within a certain time frame. Fastest lap of the day, 31.521, that last lap for Dave Blaney. Quite a bit of clean air again. Harvick in second. Jeff Gordon is third. I will say, even deeper into that last run, I felt like I was able to kind of get down to the apron and still have grip there. Able to keep these tighter lower exits on these flatter tracks on this game. I think that's really a large part of why I'm as quick as I am on these types of racetracks. I just didn't think it would translate over from the Mark Martin season to this. Mark Martin, we would have been A+ equipment. You know, we're C equipment. With Dave Blaney, C- on the intermediates. And not to mention, again, we started last with no practice or qualifying, just kind of hoping the setup was going to be good for the start of the race. To make it that much more challenging, we got to the lead in 15 laps. And even then, we've easily led the most laps in this race so far, but we still got a long ways to go. Just got to keep our head in the game here. Unless your games are digital download on the Xbox. So do you have like the most up-to-date Xbox, or are you still rocking the, what was it, the Xbox One before the more recent one? Or is the Xbox One the No, the 360 would have been back like in the PS3 era, I think. Yeah, that was different.
Number 29 is looking to pass.
Harvick almost slipped underneath Blaney getting into turn 1 there. It's close. You know, it is weird, though, because I'm not qualifying well. Yeah, we still had decent speed in every single race in the actual race time. I mean, here I didn't qualify at all. Kind of curious now. I mean, we definitely have the fastest car in the race. Which, again, is probably the first time we've had the fastest car in the race entirely. You know, we led a lot of laps at Daytona, but we had a lot of those two-tire strategy calls that helped get us into that predicament. Then we were lapping off lap traffic because we had a lot of long green flag runs in that race. I mean, the last green flag run lasted about 80 laps or so. Well, if you're looking at the same thing with me with NASCAR 25, at least you don't have to upgrade it for like another year. I wanted to get that game. Halfway out of gas. We pitted at lap 62, so if we go 62 laps again, looking at having to pit at lap 124. So again, lap 124 is going to be the next stop. I did go to work today. I put in some overtime. Wow. Got down into the 31 fours that last lap. Harvick's still staying right there. So is Jeff Gordon. Nobody else, though, really. Make up for tomorrow. Why, what's going on tomorrow? I actually got a golf outing tomorrow. Got our work scrambled tomorrow morning. Mark DeMars, thanks for tuning in. Almost 100 laps in, caution-free tonight at Las Vegas. First two races this year have not gone caution-free. Our 50% race in California had 2 yellows, and we had 4 of them in the Daytona 500. Even the dual race at Daytona had 1 in the early going into the race as well. So here we are.
Number 29 is making his move now. Look high.
Blaney trying to get by the 123, and Blaney's getting blocked big time on the back straightaway. Oh boy. A little loose getting into the corner there. Harvick's going to have a big run on the front stretch, so Blaney's going to take the shortcut down to the apron.
The last 100. The 29 car, high up high.
Try to get underneath the 123. A lot more space to get underneath them this time through 1 and 2. 100 laps complete at the line this time by.
Still a side line.
That was the first lap car I had trouble trying to get around.
Both sides clear. Number 29, coming on.
Gordon looking for second underneath Harvick, rather, in the middle of 1 and 2. Almost said Gordon underneath Gordon. That wouldn't have been right, unless it was Robbie Gordon. I guess that's the only way it would have made sense. But it wasn't. I do think Jeff Gordon's going to be the one to beat today. Especially if he keeps short pitting on us, because he was able to get to the lead the first couple of times. I mean, I don't mind at this point in the race if I fall behind a little bit. I almost wonder if our picker is just going to be slower all season with this lesser team. I never really factored that in. I just kind of automatically assumed that we were going to be off on like normal race pace most weekends. Not this one here at Vegas for some reason. Our race tomorrow night at Atlanta is going to be a 50% race. We'll begin that at 8 p.m. Eastern. That will be after our Xfinity Series race coverage tomorrow afternoon. Assuming, of course, that goes on without any sort of rain delays or anything of that nature.
29 car.
Figured I might go to the Xfinity race. No, I'm not. The only way I would is if it's like a Sunday morning deal before the Cup race. If it gets rained out tomorrow. Which, I will say, I think the Xfinity race has more of a chance of getting in than the Cup race, because it looks like the rain tomorrow is going to be like late morning, early afternoon. The Xfinity race doesn't start till what, like 4? I think it's going to be out of there before then. And then it's not supposed to rain again the next afternoon till later in the day. I think they might get the Cup race started on time Sunday, but I don't know that they're going to be able to get it all in. Based off the forecast now, obviously that could change between now and then in 48 hours, but it's just based off the hour-by-hour forecast for up there. It's going to be kind of cooler this weekend, too. Low 70s, mid to low 70s. Those August races, it's usually pretty warm there. At least in the 80, 90 degree temperature ranges, but it's going to be very cool this weekend. Even if they end up like having a race Monday, even though the rain is clear that day, it's still going to be in the mid 70s again. Sheldon Creed on pole, all right. Yeah, I forgot they were doing Xfinity Cup, or not Cup, Xfinity practice and qualifying today. Racing tomorrow. ARCA had all their on-track stuff today, race, as well as their practice qualifying sessions. Yeah, I think it was only like a 6% chance of rain on Monday as of a couple days ago, so that's looking very clear. I really hope they don't have to do that. Michigan doesn't deserve that. I mean, they've had the worst luck with the rain post-COVID. And even before COVID, 2019, their June race ended up getting pushed to a Monday. That was a Monday race. I remember working that next Monday and then going after work, because at the time I was working at a Lowe's store. I got out at 1 o'clock. It was a 4 a.m. to 1 shift. And then I went straight up to MIS because the race didn't start till like 5. I was like, oh, well, I guess I don't have to call off tomorrow. I just go in, work the full shift, and then head to the track immediately after, and still got there about an hour and a half, 2 hours before the race started. But yeah, I really hope that doesn't happen again. Those fans up there don't deserve that. Last year, finishing on a Monday, there was I don't know if it was 2021 or 2022. One of those years, it was delayed a couple hours off the start, and they still got it in on that Sunday, but it was a delayed start. It might have even been both years. Honestly. Yeah, you know what? I think it was. I think 21 and 22, it was a delayed start. So I definitely remember getting out of there late that year Blaney won. Later than usual. Like, it was like 7 o'clock or so before I got out of there, and usually I'm home between 7 and 8. 22, yeah, that's right. It was raining. But I think it did in 21 also. Or maybe if it wasn't delayed, it was definitely raining when I got there in the morning or something. I swear it rained there that year too. I also remember there was a caution with like 20 to go for rain in that race, but then it like fizzled out. I was like, oh no, please don't end like this. Yep, Buescher won last year. Yeah, it was kind of weird seeing a Chris Buescher win in person. First time I had seen him win a race. Only time, too, because my annual Bristol trips, when he won there in 2022, I went to the dirt race that year instead of the concrete race. So I didn't see that one. 12 more laps. Are you going to Michigan this year, Wade? I know I've asked you that before. Sorry for forgetting. Yep, Harvick's last win, 22. I saw Harvick win a bunch of races up there. No, it wasn't his last win. He won at Richmond the next week. Yeah, I remember that. Too far away. That stinks. First playoff. That's at Atlanta, right? I'd like to go to that, but I don't think it's going to happen. Atlanta's put on some spectacular racing the last couple years. That first year they raced there, it was kind of eh. You know, it was what it was. Because I was there for the very first race there, and it was weird. It was still fun, but you know, being at super speedway races before that, I like the idea of like you can see the whole track no problem. Like at least Daytona, Talladega, those two tracks are so big you can see the whole track if you sit like upper section of the grandstands. That's like the only way that could happen. But at least with Atlanta, like most of the seating there, you can see the whole track. But you can't get that at most super speedways. Oh, Harvick looking for his first lead. Actually, no, I think he led during green flag stops at one point. Blaney trying to side draft the 29. Harvick clear. Blaney with the crossover off turn 4. And at the line this time by, looks like the 22, no, 22 did not lead that lap. Harvick led it instead. So he adds another one to his total. That was the first time Blaney had gotten past for the lead during that run. Of course, he cycled out of the pits in about 7th, 8th place. Had to charge back up through the field again. Shouldn't fall as far back this time. Field's a lot more spaced out now than what they were going into the first pit stop of the day. And Gordon pit at lap 58. So I would imagine he's going to end up pitting here anytime, really, at this point on. This will be 60 laps into his run at the line this time. mean, I hope Watkins Glen, the Roval, puts on a good show. I don't know, man. The road courses with this next-gen car, not good. It was all right the first year, and I think that's just because the cars were still relatively new. So all the teams were still trying to get a handle on them on a semi-weekly basis, and now I mean, it'd be cool if they had like some sort of an option tire available for it, but I don't think they're gonna do that with it being a playoff race, though. Too, they test that out on a road course for the first time and have some sort of a random issue that's gonna cost a guy a potential chance at the championship. I don't think NASCAR would want to do that. Eight, 9 hours from Atlanta. Yeah, it was about a 10-hour drive for me. A couple times I've went there. Glad I got to see a race at Old Atlanta before they repaved it. Not old Atlanta from the 90s, but Old Atlanta from my lifetime at least. I might have to pit before we get to lap 124. I went 62 laps that opening run to start the race. I think we burned a little bit more fuel here.
Number 178, get down on the track again. It'll be a little slow. Be careful.
I think I'm going to pit at lap 123 this time. Go one lap less than what we did the run before. It sounds like the 123 car, I think, if I heard correctly, might have had an engine issue early on. They're now going to return into this race, so they're going to be off the pace the rest of the way. Gordon definitely short pitted it. Only be 3 laps before Blaney this time instead of 4. With Blaney coming to pit road a little earlier as well, as we'll be pitting this time by. That'll give the lead back to Harvick if he doesn't come into the pits. Be another 4-tire stop for the 22 team. Trying to use the access road this time. I want to see if this is any quicker. Use it on and off of the pits. 4-tire stop, no adjustments again for the 22. Yeah, the original track is basically Homestead. Homestead now. I think it had more banking than Homestead. Might have been slightly more narrow, too. Two-day tournament this weekend? Well, that stinks. There were, I tried to get out last weekend, and I got out a couple times, but there were scrambles like everywhere, like every course within a 40-mile radius of me, and there's quite a few. Had some sort of an outing going on. I couldn't get on until the afternoon, which wasn't optimal on Sunday. Well, I mean, it kind of was. We teed off at 11:09, I think. I couldn't tee off Saturday until like, I think it was like 11:30. Well, luckily we found a couple courses that didn't have anything going on. But yeah, almost every single course we called to try to book a tee time had some sort of an outing or a scramble going on. That time of the year around here, at least, for that. I mean, that's got a scramble I'm playing in tomorrow for my work, and then somewhere else, you got to scramble the following Sunday as well, Sunday after Daytona. Oh boy. They're stopping at 105 a little bit there. 11 miles from your golf course. Yeah, I don't know if it's like that a lot of places, you know, around the country, but there's a lot of golf courses within probably, like I said, about 40 minutes of me. Like offhand, I can think of probably within 40 minutes. Like there might be a dozen. It's like almost every single small town has one around here. Most of them. Not mine. Oddly enough. Yeah, there's places with like less of a population than the town I grew up in. And they even have a golf course. Kyle Sharp, thanks for tuning in. Yeah, I will be live tomorrow for the Xfinity race, but not Sunday. I will be at the Cup race on Sunday. I will be live for Xfinity race tomorrow. The only way I wouldn't is if it gets rained out, obviously. And they end up running that on a Sunday morning, then because I'm going to be up in Michigan early in the morning anyway, I'll end up going to both races. I'll put a community tab post up later tonight on the streaming schedule for the weekend, but yeah, that would be the only one I'm going to be able to do. Obviously, trucks are off this weekend, so not going to be doing that. Which stinks. They always put on a great show at Michigan, but I always thought that was like one of their better racetracks. Pass for second. It looks like Harvick cycled out to the lead. Lap car got in the way of Jeff Gordon, the slow car specifically there. And at lap 130, Harvick with a lot of clean air trying to hold on to the lead. And Dave Blaney is closing in. Yeah, we got like 9 people going to that race Sunday. Got my mom, my dad, and I. My grandpa, and then my uncle, his son, daughter, so my nephew, or not my nephew, my my cousins. I don't know why I said my nephew. I'm older than them, but not significantly, so I don't know why I. That's also not how that works either in the family tree, so I don't know why I said that. But yeah, a couple of cousins, and then one of my cousin's girlfriends going. And then my aunt, my aunt and my uncle. She was a late tag. She wasn't going in initially. Luckily, before I bought the tickets, she decided she was going. I was sunk if I bought them already, but well, looks like you're not gonna be sitting next to us. But yeah, it's always pretty cool. And Michigan's, you know, the one track that you can count on getting like a bunch of my family to go every year, so it seems like we get more and more people going every single year too, so that's cool. Just adding to it. Yeah, excluding COVID, been going every year since 2018 for at least one race, if not 2. I've been going there for 2 races since 2018, but you know, as a family, they at least try to get to one of them. I think they went to both in 19, but 18 they only went to one. And I went there once in 15, but it was just me and my grandpa that day. My first NASCAR race. Then we went as a family to Bristol for the night race there, 2021. Went there for the whole weekend. That was the first time we traveled as a family to a different track. So I'd like to get back to doing that like once a year again too. Wherever I end up like traveling to on the year, have them get to one of those races too. Wanted to go, but far away. I thought you were living back in Michigan again, weren't you? Tickets are pretty cheap on SeatGeek. SeatGeek and TickPick are like good ticket buying platforms that I use when I go to like events and stuff. I was looking at them earlier today. They've dropped the price a lot. And I think it's because of the rain on Sunday, potentially. So there might be more people looking at the forecast being like, yeah, I'm not going. I'm going to try to sell my tickets, get some of my money back. And I mean, there's quite a few tickets available for a very cheap. I'm talking like you can get high enough seats to see the whole track on that 2-mile oval for like $30, $40. Like if I would have held out a little longer, I would have saved like $20, $30 a ticket from when I initially got them. Might have been able to get them all on the same road too. See, that's what was tough though. Like when I went to buy them, because we had an odd number of 9, like I could only get like 8 or 10 in a row. Wouldn't let me do 9, so I had to split it. So we got 4 in one row, 4 in another, but they're kind of staggered a little bit. So we have like one row's got seats 8 through 5 through 8, and then the other 5 are sitting in, I think, 12 through 15. So there's like 4 basically not empty seats because it's one row to another. So we're kind of staggered a little bit. It's basically going to be like 4 seats between us. I'm hoping they're empty, or we could just switch with them. You know, hopefully they'll be okay with it, just so, you know, we could all still kind of be together. And that's the only problem with that, which I haven't used that for Michigan for that reason, so I can get the tickets, but you're saving so much more money for those same seats. Dad gets discounts since he's a veteran. That's cool. Age 60 to 65 a piece. Yeah, it's really cheap. Yeah, I highly recommend waiting for any sort of event till a couple days before, at least, before you get your purchase. You'll find, you know, seats that are available. And even if they start to go back up in price, you can catch it if you're looking on it every day the week of. You know, if you're like 5-6 days, I was like, hey, these have gone up like $10 from what they were yesterday, then grab them before they go up more, because they'll just continue to go up. But you can usually get better deals, especially if it's an event that's not 100% sold out and there's seats available already that you can buy standard. That's when I've noticed that you can get the resale tickets really cheap, because they're not going to get price gouge you on resale because there's seats available at standard price that could be cheaper. So they're not going to do that to you, whoever's selling the tickets. Robbie Gordon's racing the heck out of me right now. I don't know how I didn't make contact with him. We were very tight door-to-door there, all the way down the front stretch and even on entry into 1. But the pass was made. 146 for lower seats. Dang. 225 for Bristol night race right now. No, don't pay that. If you're going to Bristol, do not. I paid $37 for my ticket last year, again on SeatGeek. Literally bought them the day of the race. I was down there, planned on going in advance. We bought the Cup tickets. I bought the Xfinity and the truck tickets in advance because those weren't going to drop at all because there was so much seating available. But yeah, Bristol, I literally bought them the morning of, while we were already there, because I noticed that they were going down in price, and I sat in turn 1, probably halfway up the grandstands, for $37. Good seats. I actually sat around there before when I went there for the All-Star race in 2020, so I kind of had an idea of, you know, how it would look. Granted, I've been there a few times since then, obviously, but not really a bad seat in that place. It's a half-mile track, so you can pretty much see the whole track from wherever you're sitting. Yeah, you just plan on going in advance and then just don't get the ticket until... I've only ever had one issue with my ticket, like not transferring over, because sometimes like I know SMI goes through Ticketmaster if I remember correctly. So they'll have like if you buy them on like a SeatGeek, then they have to transfer them to Ticketmaster. And there's only been one time with any kind of a sporting event that the tickets didn't transfer. It didn't get it. Like I saw my seats, but there was no barcode or something. All you gotta do is go to the box office and they'll print your tickets out for you. Like you'll get a physical ticket. You just show them your purchase, give them your ID, and they'll print your tickets off. It's really no big deal. So that's like the worst case scenario. Because you obviously, assuming you hold on to your receipt, if you don't hold on to your receipt or anything, then you might be in trouble. But yeah, if you hang on to your receipt, you show you paid for them, you show them your ID, yeah, they'll print the tickets off for you. It's literally no big deal. I did that for a Tigers game once when they didn't print off, and I mean, there was kind of a line at the box office, but then once I got like up to the person I was talking to, it was literally like a 2-minute ordeal, and I had my tickets right in my hand. So, because I was a little nervous because that was the only time that it hadn't worked. I'm like, this works every time for me. I don't know why it's not working now. Whoever, I bought the tickets off of just didn't, they didn't send me the ticket or the email me the ticket transfer thing. Because I think they go through the ballpark app with the MLB. But yeah, they didn't send me the transfer. Yeah, highly recommend it. Martinsville's fun. Bristol would be amazing. Yeah, they're both fun. Any track's fun. I've been to a lot of tracks now. I don't think one of them was, a boring experience. Because I feel like even if the race itself isn't great, for one, it's better in person. For two, even if there has been some races where I did think it was kind of a snooze fest, but the facility would be great, or the atmosphere or the crowd or whatever would be, great, so it helps heighten it again in person. Like I remember when I went to Dover, I took a buddy of mine that had never been to a NASCAR race before. I was excited. It was 2021. I thought that was probably one of the worst races I've seen in person. But Hendrick Motorsports 1 through 4, like the whole day, just dominated. It wasn't, because it was those four, there wasn't a lot of passing between them. All the cars were so equal. It was really a no contest outside of that final pit stop and the last restart with like 40-something to go. And Bowman kind of held on. Had a steady 1 to 2 second lead the entire run. No threat of losing it. Any sucks for viewing? See, it does, but the times I've been there, the races I've seen, whether it's been the Indy 500 or even the Brickyard 400 on the Oval, the only one on the Oval I'd been to is 2018. I thought that was probably one of the better Brickyard 400s maybe ever, and that was a Monday race. I mean, if you go back and watch the final, like, 5-6 laps or so of that race, that battle between Keselowski and Hamlin, banging fenders, couple corners with like 2 to go. Keselowski finally clears. They were holding each other up so much. Eric Jones was like right behind him all of a sudden. I thought Jones was maybe going to win out of nowhere. At that time, he only won at Daytona in the summer 2018. It was his only career win, so that would have been kind of an oddball winner. Yeah, Keselowski held on. I thought the race itself was good. Xfinity race that day was wild. Not as wild as this year's race, but yeah, it sucks for viewing, but the race itself can still make up for it if it's a good enough race. Still get into it, obviously, when you're there. First road course race. Yeah, road courses are pretty cool. It's different. Like, the first couple times I went there, it felt weird. I will say Road America was really the only one that it was really poor, that was a track that I wasn't going to go back to again. Obviously, they're not on the schedule right now. A lot of fans, do clamor. And they do get a lot of locals and a great turnout there, don't get me wrong. But as far as going there, you could see 2 turns. It's a 4-mile facility. At least like most road courses I've been to, you can pick out a certain area and maybe you could see like 4 separate turns. I picked good spots at a couple of road courses, especially ones I've been to more than once, that You know, for instance, like Watkins Glen, if you sit up on the front stretch grandstands, you can see all the front stretch, turn 7, turn 1, through the S's. The only thing you really can't see is the bus stop. There's a, at least where I was sitting, the section I was in, you could kind of make out where the cars were in turn 5 because there was a gap where there were trees. And then, yeah, once they got out of turn 6, you could see them again. So you can basically see about 2/3 of the racetrack there for the main grandstands. Sitting high enough up, of course. Just ran my fastest lap of the day again. We've really pulled away from Harvick on this run, by the way. He is nowhere to be found. We're just getting faster and faster as the race progresses. Yeah, Road America is just too big. There's so many trees there, too. Like, Watkins Glen's got a lot of trees in the infield area. And it's based, I mean, it's a track in the mountains. Like, the elevation changes you are seeing is because it's in the mountains. But not like Sonoma, where it's kind of like a deserty mountain area. It's... I haven't been to Sonoma yet, but that's what it kind of seems like. But yeah, here, there's like a... I sat in turn 1. You could see, you couldn't even see the flag stand from where I was at. You had grandstands in turn 1. You could see turn 1, turn 2, that's it. And you couldn't even see them because the hill's so massive on the front stretch. There's a huge incline, but even the decline, once you get past the start-finish line, is a lot bigger in person because you can't even see the start-finish line from where I was at in turn 1. See the exit of pit road, the front couple stalls. And that was about it. That the Videotron in turn 1 where I was at literally kept going in and out the whole race. It would go out for a couple laps and then it would come back in. All the fans were booing when it would go out, and then they were cheering when it would come back on. Which, that definitely hurt the viewing experience quite a bit, too. Because you're focused on that so much because you can only see 2 corners of the track. And because it's so big and there's no lap traffic or anything, there isn't constant action going around you. You know, you'll have a minute and a half of where you have to watch the screen because there's nothing going on in front of you. And then the screen will go out. So then you're just, like, listening for a couple laps until they come by. You're like, oh, I can hear them rumbling. They're getting close. They race by through turns 1 and 2, and then the Videotron's still out again. I remember the one time it went out with like 5 laps to go or so. Like, it was really late in the race it went out, and I was kind of frustrated at that because I was trying to videotape, you know, the race highlights from the grandstands. And then it came back on with like 2 laps left. That might have been one of the shortest grandstand highlight videos I think I've had all season. Or all, not season, but just in general. My YouTube history of uploading at-track race content. Went to Talladega in the spring. Sat past turn 4. You haven't sat there. Pretty much sat around the grandstands every time I've been to Dega. Or the grandstands, the flag stand. Of course I sat at the grandstand. The flag stand is what I meant to say. %80 chance of rain Sunday. Oh, Saturday, my bad. Sunday, 70. I will say the hour-by-hour forecast of the Xfinity race looks more promising than if you just look at the forecast for rain, because it looks like it's going to get out of there early in the afternoon before the race would start. I think Cup practice and qualifying's in jeopardy, but I think they'll get the Xfinity race in and it's full tomorrow. It's going to take a minute to obviously dry the track, so they might have a delayed start, but I think they'll still get the full race in. It's not supposed to rain like through the later afternoon, evening hours, so Should be all right for the Xfinity race tomorrow, but the Cup race hour by hour doesn't look as likely. What is this guy doing? He's on the outside. He comes all the way from the top to the bottom right in front of me. He's already off the pace. I also misheard my crew chief when he said a car was coming back out earlier. I thought he said the 123. It was the 178 the whole time. Kind of late news at this point, but... Flag stand and dig is risky. Well, I sat lower bowl the first time I went there, and that was the year Kurt Busch ended up like surfing over cars right in front of me. I thought he was coming up into the grandstands. I saw it happen so quick, but you can make out the wreck as it happened with Johnson getting turned off of Boyer, middle 3 wide. I'm like, oh no. And then I wish I would have gotten that on camera at that time. I was so like in fear for myself because the way he got hooked up the track, okay, that's one thing, wreck happens in front of you. But I see Kurt Busch's car go surfing, and as he was passing me, like the flyby basically of the wreck, his roof was literally like staring at me. I saw the number on the roof of his car as they were blowing by me. Yeah, when I saw him catch air, like probably 100 feet in front of us. Well, me, I was there by myself that year, but yeah, I shit my pants. Like, oh boy. And then you couldn't see the aftermath of it. All you saw was just a bunch of smoke when they actually blew by you. So I had no clue, like, how many times he tumbled, or he ended up basically just kind of surfing on top of the cars. He didn't, like, do a full flip, but yeah, that was wild. Every time since then, though, I've sat in the upper section, second level, so I never felt like I was in any jeopardy of, like, debris going up there or anything. It was risky, though, for sure. Definitely got to be aware of that. And even Daytona in the trial will sit low enough. They've had cars going to catch fence there in recent years. Less than 100 laps left in this race. Flying by as we are still caution-free in this one. We went like so long into the Mark Martin season before we had a caution-free race. We ended up having 2 of them in the last, like, what, 10 races or so? Michigan and Indy. But this one here today, we're caution-free through 171. It's only the 3rd race of the year at Vegas. I would assume it's a 2-stop race to the end. I don't think anybody's going to make it on 1 stop. So it's a 2-stopper to the finish. Yeah, there was that Xfinity race too where Larson got up into the fence. I think that was the tandem racing days. What was that, like 11? No, it wasn't 11, because I think that was the year that James Buescher won that weird one. Might have been a couple years after that, but... Larson in that Clorox 32 car got up into the fence. Tore part of the catch fence down. 13, thank you. I got 13, I got 12 on there. Yeah, one of them. They both sound about right. This 178 car better not. I had like half my car in the apron last time, and he still came down in front of me. Passed it cleanly that time. Corey Harshaw, thanks for tuning in also. Appreciate each and every one of you tuning in for tonight's stream. We will do a NASCAR 07 stream tomorrow night, even if the Xfinity race goes on. The only way I wouldn't is if the Xfinity race has a delayed start and it doesn't get over before 8 p.m. Eastern, because I am still going to have to go to bed relatively early because I'm going to be leaving for MIS about 7:30 in the morning the next day.
Hang it up. The 143 car is coming out of the way. All clear.
2013 because Tony won. I don't think it was the 80 car, was it? It was the number. Was it the number 4 for JRM? Wasn't it the? It was either the Oreo or the Ritz car. He won. He won 1 year in the Oreo car, and he won 1 year in the Ritz car. And I can't remember which was which, but. 33. That was the Old Spice days. I don't think it was a 33. Huh. Yeah, I don't think it was a 33. All right, 90 to go this time by. Getting 2 more stops to the finish, so 4-stop race total. .7-second lead for Dave Blaney. Just another domination in this race for the 22 team for Bill Davis Racing. Oh boy. 49 crowd in the 22 of Dave Blaney that time now as well. So 1 car hit pit row. Looks like there's a few more in the pits as we speak as well. So, oh boy, man, more contact. That was my fault that time. That might have been RCR at that time. Because I remember, like, Clint Boyer running that car when he was still there. Harvick ran that car sometimes when he was still there. .33 might have been raced, but would have been RCR. So, I mean, maybe there's a chance Stewart was in that car. Well, KHI was probably still around up until Harvick went to Haas, if I had to guess. So maybe there's a chance. I thought it was an RCR car. Because it was somewhere around that time. It might have been 2012 when Boyer had that near flip at Dover on the front stretch, and that was in the 33 car. I think that was 2012. So the 33 might have been around still at that time. All right, got to focus in on when we're going to pit here. I think we're looking at lap 184. Another 61 lap run. So we went 62 the first run, 61, and then 61 these next couple. Be the second to last stop of the day for Dave Blaney. Another 4-tire stop, no adjustments. We have the fastest car in the field here today. So we try to pull off the unthinkable and try to go back-to-back. A fuel mileage win, leading only 4 laps in Fontana. And today we actually have the quickest car. No strategy in play. Dave Blaney's just trying to beat everyone. Tires are holding up all the way through the run. Handling's been great all race. And here comes Dave Blaney to pit road. I do think I actually gained time on the access road, both leaving and entering pit road that time, but no one around us will go around it. 2011 was Boyer. Those Xfinity Series early 2010 years, I definitely get my years mixed while I'm on pit road. I'm assuming it's a clean 4-tire stop. Pause it real quick before I exit the pits. Tony Stewart won at Daytona a lot, too. Those days. So he did win there in 2011 also. 13, started 10th. 33. It was a Childress. Yeah, that was the Oreo Ritz car. That's what I thought. So it was a 33. So it might have been, I think he drove the 4 car then in 2011. Because I definitely remember him running the 4 car at one point there. Sam Hornish finished second in that race? I don't remember that. Alex Bowman third. Nobody remembers who finished second. Parker Kligerman in the 77. Eric McClure had a top 10. Robert Richardson Jr. Travis Pastrana had a top 10 in that Daytona race, by the way, 2013. Only 21 cars finished the race. 17 on the lead lap. My goodness. That's not even counting the guys that crashed coming across the line. Yeah, Larson finished 13th in that race in the catch fence. He was in the catch fence in the tri-oval, and he still finished 13th. It's crazy. So many cars taken out those last 2 wrecks. Robert Richardson Jr. missed the driver's meeting, started at the back of the pack, and still finished 9th in that race. His family-owned team. They actually led 1 lap, too. Tony Stewart led 3 laps in that entire race. And won. So now I want to look back to 2011 just to make sure he was in the 4 car that year. Yeah, he was in the 4 car in 2011, so I just have my years mixed up. That was also an Oreo Ritz car. One of the years it was an Oreo car and like primary scheme, and one of the years it was a Ritz car. That is weird though how one was the 4. The 4 was Kevin Harvick. So the 4 car was KHI. 33 was KHI when Boyer drove it in 2011 also because they finished 1-2 that day, tandem race there, so that doesn't surprise me. Landon Castle finished 3rd in that race, by the way. Wow. Reed Sorensen had a top 5. Bunch of all-stars up there. Reed Sorensen started at the back that day too and still finished top 5. But yeah, so 2011 it was KHI, and it was RCR in 13. I didn't realize the 4 car was KHI also. I just like automatically assumed that was potentially Junior Motorsports, but it wasn't yet. Dale Jr. was in the 5 car that race. That just sounds weird. Dale Jr. in the number 5. He drove a bunch of different numbers in the Xfinity series. Too many to count, I feel like. The more you know. You learn something new every day. All right, back to the race. Yeah, that was it. We lost a lot of viewers during that. Sorry for that. Like this, we didn't come for looking at this guy looking into his camera lens for an odd amount of time. All right. So Ryan Newman leading during green flag pit stops. I would assume he hasn't pit yet. Yeah, he's coming in right now. Man, if he could have trapped the field a lap down with a weird caution at that point, that would have been insane. Blaney back on the lead lap if we were to get another yellow. And a 2.7 second lead before the pit stop started. Jeff Burt blocking all over the place, making Blaney's life hard trying to pass him. Blaney underneath. Jeff Gordon's out ahead of us, so maybe Gordon and Harvick both cycled in front of the 22. Dale Jr. still out on the track, so I believe he's leading for the first time. He came in third at points, -5. I like the early going of the season just because the points are always so tight. It's kind of fun, like seeing who gets the upsets early in the year to have a good start to the season, and they're like super high in the point standings. Most recently, he was in the 3. Well, technically, the 88, because that's the number he's been driving since he went and retired from full-time Cup competition. He runs like 1 or 2 Xfinity races a year. He's been in the 88 the last several years. Well, the 8 or the 88, actually, because he was in the 88 last year, but I think he's been in the 8 a couple times, too. Dale Jr. still out on the racetrack. Speaking of which, big run for Blaney as he gets to the inside of Jeff Gordon, who's short-fitted on him. It's a battle for second place. Dale Jr. coming into the pits right now. So Blaney will cycle back into the lead. And now Denny Hamlin, last car on the lead lap, right in front of the 22. Blocks Blaney underneath him, down to the apron through 3 and 4. Clear off the exit of the corner. Lap 190. I have to get my laptop on a charger. I should have done it when I had it paused. I kind of forgot. Just got the low battery light. Gonna get on that real quick. My luck, I'll lose the stream. There we go. Yeah, Harvick was in second for a while. I mean, it's very well possible that 178 car, any of the numerous times we passed him in this race, might have held him up a little bit more also. Yeah, Blaney back out in front. Definitely going to go on to lead the most laps today. That is without a doubt. Well, I just don't want to run it on the charger the whole time. I feel like it tends to run a little hotter that way, so my experience of my previous laptop burning up on me after a couple of years, I always had it plugged in, start to finish of every stream just in case. So I don't even want to risk it with this. Yeah, I saw that Kurt Busch news a couple days ago too. Sucks to see. We don't need people drinking and driving. Hasn't been a good media week for NASCAR. Motorsports in general. A tough news week. DWI, I believe. Unless he got arrested, like, again. I didn't even know he got arrested the first time. Is this something new? Like, or is this the same one from a couple days ago still? Second one we know of? Yeah, we talked about Scott Bloomquist at the start of the stream earlier. Mark Martin tail end of the lead lap. Trying to hold on in front of race leader Dave Blaney. .234 that last lap for the 22. Wow, 31.185. 2 laps in a row, fastest of the day. Our first 31.2, and then now our first 31.1. We were in like the 31.9s there at the beginning of the race, and that seemed quick at the time, and no wonder we're kind of pulling away from the field as this race goes on, because we're just getting significantly quicker. I haven't made any adjustments. I think that's just me getting better at hitting my marks. Oh, he had one back in 2005? I had no idea. I had no idea about that one. Bumper tagged the back of the slapper, 169 Kroger machine right in front of us. 178 car towards the outside. Looks like he's holding Truex up on the back straightaway as well. Easy drive for Dave Blaine underneath him that time into 3. .200 laps complete here tonight at the line. 67 laps to go in what has been a caution-free race thus far at Las Vegas. Might knock out our first caution-free race of the season already. Gotcha. Yeah, I don't know why I didn't... I mean, I knew he had some, you know, his struggles, fair share of which on and off the track for a while, but... Oh, trouble! Speaking of which, no caution. Not yet, at least. Brian Vickers hard into the wall in turn 2, right in front of our race leader, Dave Blaney. That would have been a tough caution at that time, too, because that would have put us right at the edge of the fuel window. Oh, boy. Staying green, at least for now. Looked like he got loose off turn 2, smacked the wall hard. You can still see the smoke, and I'm sure there's skid marks up there, too, yeah. It sounded like somebody hit him from behind, too. One of those lap cars we had passed a couple laps prior. And I wonder if there was hard enough contact for Vickers or whoever might have hit him. If we end up getting a debris caution at some point during this long green flag run as well. We need this thing to just stay caution-free. Especially right now at the edge of the pit window. Like, that would be the one thing that would screw me out of a race win, where we have to pit now and I'm short on fuel to the end. Remember when he used to curse out reporters? Yeah. I still remember that that one year he was on probation. I think he was with James Finch Racing at the time, and he was cussing out Bob Pockris for asking him about his probation. He was threatening to beat up Bob Pockris. Looking back on it, you know, I'm glad he's hopefully not in that same state of mind, but the sound bites are hilarious looking back on them in hindsight. I wonder what Bob's reaction was there. It was probably like a one-on-one. Well, it was probably like, there's probably 3 people there. There's probably Kurt Busch, Bob Pockris, and whoever his camera guy was. Probably fearing for his life. Tony Khan style. My wrestling joke analogy there, if anybody got that one. I thought it was funny, low-key, but you guys don't watch wrestling, then you probably don't understand what I'm talking about. All right, 60 laps to go. Yeah, one thing though, I don't really fault a whole lot of reporters. When reporters do ask like what people would think as like dumber questions, it's not always their questions they're coming up with. A lot of the time it's the people that they work for, the news company that they work for, that's telling them, hey, you need to ask like these specific questions if you get a chance, especially in an instance where it's like a post race and you're only going to get 1 or 2 questions with a guy. Usually it's not even their questions. Usually it's like, hey, we need this headline. And it's going to be the most basic, dumbed down question because that's what it's going to get the most clicks for them. Especially if they act like that. Then it's really going to get a lot of clicks for them. So, I mean, it's not the way I would go about it personally, but, you know, if you don't work for yourself, you can't really, you're put in a box there. I mean, I'll see some front stretch clips on YouTube from time to time. I don't actively watch their stuff, but Usually it is like post-race interviews. Usually when I don't get a chance to see what a specific driver has to say about something because Fox didn't get an interview from him or NBC didn't get an interview from him, so I'll see those.
Cars had to run. Watch them to make a move. There you go. All clear. Number 15 is up high.
Well, Bob, right now, I mean, he's Fox Sports. He's been Fox Sports for a little while. I don't know what he was before that, though. He might have even worked for Speed Channel before Fox. I don't know how long he's been with Fox for. Maybe it's only been the last couple years. Wonder how many cars are actually going to finish on the lead lap in this one. I do feel that we're going to have quite a few drivers finishing on the lead lap in this race, all things considered. Yeah, I was thinking he might have been ESPN too. Marty Smith and who's that other guy they have? Ryan McGee? Yeah, he might have been ESPN before that. I almost wonder if he was on ESPN as a reporter there back when they had NASCAR, and then when the new TV contract came in 2015. I wonder if that's when he moved to Fox Sports. Yeah, I'll be at the Michigan race Sunday, but not tomorrow. So no live commentary for Sunday. I'll have it fully disclosed in the community tab later tonight after the stream. No clue how this car is going to be on a restart considering we haven't had one today. If we were to get a caution late. Another reason why I'm just hoping that we stay green. Keep it caution free. Because we're going to pit and then we're just going to have guys on our tail the rest of the race even though we're probably going to be quicker than them. Whoops. Cup rained out Sunday. I'll still be back up there on Monday. It's not a long drive for me to get there. I'm off of work through Mondays anyway, so. I don't know that all 9 of us would be able to go back on Monday. I would imagine we might have some extra tickets, but I know I wouldn't be the only one going back on Monday. I know like last year, me and my uncle went back. Everybody else didn't. But the way the mist kind of rolled in last year was kind of the same thing like all the way through that morning, so everybody was kind of pessimistic thinking they weren't going to race. We went up there just in case and they ended up racing, so I'm glad we went. You just never know. I swear NASCAR's like that. You'll have like a low percentage chance of rain and then it ends up raining. Or, you know, there will be a higher percentage chance of rain and it ends up clearing out for the day. I feel like that's kind of the way it works around a NASCAR race weekend. And you just never know. They might end up getting it in on Sunday. Skies could clear. Storm could miss just to the south. I do think it's a higher percentage of rain where I live compared to where it is in Michigan. In Ohio. Northwest Ohio. Because I think it was like a 80% chance of rain for us, and it was like floating between 60 and 70% on Sunday up there. So whatever we probably have coming in, maybe it misses to the south. You never know. Wonder if Vickers hit the slow car. Well, that wasn't the cause of his spin. He was kind of all by himself, and he just lost it because he was the next lap car. We would have had to pass in a couple laps and got lose. I was really hoping he wasn't going to slide down the racetrack right in front of us if a caution came out. I'm glad he didn't. That would have been another way we could have potentially had a race ruined right in front of us. Wreck all the speed out of it. Well, we're well inside the fuel window if we were to get a caution now. So, definitely good there. I still don't want it to be a close contest to the end. It probably would end up being that way even if we were to have the fastest car. 31.152 again. Tying our best lap of the race. Yeah, even on the later runs, this car still has a ton of grip down on the apron. It's getting quicker and quicker as the race progresses. Wow, Exhibit A right there, 31.120. Nemechek's been crowding us. He tries to hold on. He might even be a lap down already. Can't have that many cars on the lead lap going over 200 laps caution free in this one. Currently working on the 161.
The 161 car. Just looking for some room to get by in. Clear, clear.
When he's still trying to get by Joe Nemechek. He's blocking the heck out of us. Trying to get it down to the apron. Look at how low Nemechek's running. I cannot go any lower. Definitely the hardest lap car we've had to pass this whole race. Trying to do it cleanly because I don't want a risk of potentially wrecking. Nothing there. 12 to 15 cars. I'd be shocked if it's that many, to be completely honest. I mean, I'm doing what I can. I can't get around this guy. Passing every other car we close in on up ahead of us, but I didn't realize our lead was 5.5 seconds now, too. I don't know. I can't get around him. I can't even get within a car length anymore, honestly. It's getting by these other lap cars so smoothly. Then Jamie McMurray right in front of him. Now McMurray's holding up Nemechek. Nemechek washes up the track. And that's an opportunity for Blaney to finally get underneath the 01. Nemechek got a good run off the exit of turn 2. Blaney sails it in deep down to that bottom of the racetrack again. Hooking the white line through the corner. And now Jamie McMurray is blocking for his life. Finally cleared Nemechek. Now we got to get by the 26. Quarter of a tank of gas left this point in the run. Blaney is underneath McMurray. Center of the corner off turn 4, side by side on the front stretch. Seen 6 races in person, all of them in the 2010s.
Number 01 is looking high.
Hendrick horsepower? Well, he doesn't drive for Hendrick in this game. That 01 car is MB2 Motorsports. He hadn't driven for Hendrick in a NASCAR game since Thunder 04. Been a few seasons. Nearly 6-second lead for Dave Blaney here at the Las Vegas Motor Speedway. Just 33 laps to go in this one. UAW Daimler Chrysler 400. MB2 is Hendrick engine. Well, I mean, they might have gotten some supplies from there, but I don't remember Joe Nemechek have. Well, I guess he did win a race in that 01. Mark Martin obviously had some good races there, too. Though at that time when Mark was there, I think it was DEI, wasn't it? Maybe it wasn't in 07, but 08 it definitely was. One like away from 20 on the stream. Be sure to hit that like button if you haven't done so yet. Subscribe for more daily NASCAR content as well. I say daily. I'm not going to be streaming on Sunday this week. Usually we do live commentary streams every NASCAR race weekend for Cup Xfinity truck races. I will still be doing Xfinity Series race coverage tomorrow, but I will be at Michigan for the Cup race on Sunday. So unless the Xfinity race does get moved to Sunday as well, for potential rain. That would be the only way I won't be doing the Xfinity Series coverage this weekend. So you can plan on me streaming tomorrow for that. We'll also do a NASCAR 07 stream later tomorrow night as well. So lap 240. 27 laps to go this time by. We've got cars cycling in and out of pit road for the final time currently. Might have used RCR engines. Yeah, that was way before the Alliance. That Alliance really didn't come until like the late Gen 6 years. Like 18 or 19 or somewhere around there. Because they were like the last teams to have separate or build separate engines from a manufacturer standpoint. Watch this 178 car up here. Lappard coming out of the pits. It looks like it's Matt Kenseth in the 17. Waltrip trying to get to the outside of that 17 car. Blaney underneath of both of them. 3 and 4, I believe they're still 3 wide on the front stretch. About a 6-second lead for Blaney before Gordon probably would have pit. I would assume he's already on pit road. He's pitted a few laps before us every time. But shock if he cycles out in front of us this time. I'm going to use that excess road one more time. I do feel like I get more in and out of the pits there, taking that shortcut. Nobody else uses it. MB2 is using HMS in 2006 at least. I wonder if when they went to DEI, they ended up using RCR stuff. Oh, caution! Caution is out with 23 laps to go here at Las Vegas. Our first yellow of the day. And it's debris off the 169, which I believe was the car that hit Vickers when Vickers had that slide into the wall off turn 2. That slide was right around lap 200. About 40 laps ago when that happened. Finally, we got the debris caution for it. Right in the middle of green flag pit stops, too. Blaney's obviously going to pit here. 4 tires and a full tank of gas. No adjustments on the 23, and you wonder how many cars are going to get trapped a lap down. We definitely had a lot of lap down anyway with that long green flag run to start, but even more were trapped a lap down with that caution. So this might get some other guys in contention who wouldn't have been in contention otherwise. And obviously this is going to tighten things up for Dave Blaney to the checker as well. A couple of the lead lap cars on pit road. I'm glad I stayed out as long as I did. Man, could you imagine if we went a lap down and then had something like that? Now we got a slow stop. Front tire changer having problems trying to get the left front tire off, and Blaney's losing spots on pit road. Some of those are going to be lap cars, but not all of them.
A lot of cars stayed out on that caution, so we're starting towards
Looks like 6 cars are on the lead lap, and we ended up losing most of them on pit road. Green flag back in the air. 19 laps left at Las Vegas as we're back to racing. So no caution-free race in the early going of the season yet. A couple lap cars getting by Blaney. Blaney trying to get back down to the bottom. Had a chance to slid up the track a little bit as they get up to speed. 3 wide up there around the race leaders. Blaney all the way on the bottom, 3 wide, making moves down on the apron through 3 and 4. Ryan Newman, the Rocket Man, to the lead off turn 4.
That's what I'm talking about. Good job. All clear, bud. Go outside.
Stewart sandwiched in the middle, 3 wide. Now 4 wide in the middle of 1 and 2.
Steady. 3 wide, 3 wide.
Well, smoke off the exit of turn 2. Nothing happened back there. Blaney up to second. Rocketing from 5th on the restart after losing 4 spots on pit road at the slow stop. In about 2 laps, he's already underneath Newman for the lead off turn 4.
Still there.
And back out in front as he led that lap at the line.
That's what I like to see out there. Great job, buddy. Go ahead. Clear, all clear, whatever you need. The 12 car is looking for the pass.
Well, it's going to be like this the rest of the race, where Blaney's going to have guys hot on his heels. 16 laps to go at the line. It's going to be just like that very initial run at the start of the day. We will catch that 178 car. If I had to guess, probably 2 more times before the end of the race if it stays green. Of course, if we get a caution with less than 10 laps to go, there'll be a single file restart where all the lap cars will be behind the lead lap cars. Dale Jr. up to second, having a strong start to the season. He was up leading laps during the green flag pit cycling before the last time we cycled all the way through green flag stops. Again, caution in the middle of green flag stops that last time is now trapped to only 6 cars on the lead lap of the restart. I saw Jeff Green was one of them, which would be his second top 10 finish of the year if he just finishes this race. Not as many cars able to keep up here with Dave. Got a little loose there. I don't think it's breaking news. Isn't that the same incident from a couple days ago? I think it was Wednesday. At least when I had found out about it, it was Wednesday. Junior probably taking over the points lead. Good chance of that. Honestly, having the speed we did here, I think it's going to be like the Mark Martin season where the flatter tracks are going to be our best tracks. The difference is in the Mark Martin season, the races weren't even close on this style of racetrack. Now, granted, we did have about a 6-second lead built up before that caution came out, but that was over the course of 240 plus laps going caution free. I built up a 6-second lead. Like if that was Mark Martin, we probably would have been like 20 seconds ahead or more. Could have lapped the field, but I think that's really going to help us this season, especially in the chase, because there's like 4 tracks on the flatter side of things that we would race at that I dominated in the Mark Martin season. New Hampshire to start. Martinsville's in there. Phoenix. Half a second lead. That 178 car held Dale Jr. Ryan Newman up a little bit. Dale Jarrett's kind of quietly back there in 4th, unless he's a lap down. I definitely know Newman and Earnhardt are on the lead lap, and now they're side by side for 2nd off turn 2. So we have 10 laps to go. Newman on the inside, Dale Jr. on the outside. So Dale Jr. slipping back a little bit and now losing second place. Does Ryan Newman have anything for Dave Blaney? Blaney being extra aggressive on the apron here at these fresher tires. He'll use that to his advantage on this restart. Try to maintain as steady of a lead as he can. Even with the pit crew losing him a few spots, wasn't worried about it. Restarted with 19 to go. Plenty of time to get from fifth back to the lead. Only took a couple laps with the speed in the race car. And Picker's going to have to get quicker, though. We get into races where I'm running like 10th, and I need them to have a good stop, and they lose me like 5 to 10 positions. And I'm not going to have speed to get back in the top 10. Like, those are the races they really need to be on it. Tonight we were able to afford something like that. Trying to break a little bit of that draft. Dale Jr. got back to second. I didn't think he was going to have anything to try to get back to Ryan Newman, but he passed him. And Blaney go back to back in races 2 and 3 here to start the season. No fuel mileage win today. He had the speed. Led a lot more than 4 laps like I led at California. Gonna be close on whether or not they'll catch the 178. I only had one problem trying to pass that guy earlier in the race. He was on the high side in the middle of 3 and 4, then chopped me off and had like half my car on the apron. Ran into the back of him. As long as we don't get something like that again, I'm not worried about him. And that was a long time ago, really, when that happened.
5 laps to go.
Passed him perfectly fine the first couple times. On that time, he decided to take my line away for some reason in the middle of the corner. Earnhardt's caught right back up to Dave Blaney, though. Blaney keeping the low exit. Safety precaution there off turn 2. Getting as close to the grass as I can without touching it. 4 laps left at the line. Around this 1.5-mile racetrack. Catch him on the final lap, maybe. Yeah, there's very high probability we're going to catch him with 1 or 2 to go, if I had to guess. Question is will Dale Jr. and Ryan Newman be able to get by him? Dale Jr.'s losing a lot of time to these guys. Again, I'm not sure if he's on the lead lap or not. I think he is. Dale Jr.'s definitely caught right back up to Dave Blaney, though. We were in this situation a lot very early in the day, and I did lose the lead from time to time, but I'm fully focused right now. I'm not giving that bottom up. Two to go this time.
Number 8, they moving on you.
And they'll be catching that 178 car probably either on the back stretch or in turns 1 and 2 up here. Newman losing a little ground to the 8 and the 22. He's going to need some help from this 178 car if he's going to want a shot to win. Yep. Off turn 2. Blaney looking low. 178 staying wide. Earnhardt slowing up a little bit, getting into the corner. Finally gets by the 178, but he definitely checked up on the backstretch. Newman did also. And that might be enough of a gap to have a pressure-free final lap. 1 to go. It'll be a 1 caution race. 0.6 of a second lead for Dave Blaney at Vegas. Checker flag waving Blaney is a two-time Cup Series winner. Let's go.
Victory lap.
This time we won it outright. 0.6 of a second margin of victory. This one feels a lot better than California. California was cool. We got that first career win for them when we weren't really expecting it, but let's go. So Dale Jr. finishes second, Ryan Newman third, Dale Jarrett fourth, Tony Stewart fifth, Jeff Green sixth. He was the last car to, actually Kevin Harvick would have gotten the free pass at seventh, so Jeff Gordon eighth. Maybe a couple took the wave around then, because there were only 6 at the front. We probably had quite a few guys take the wave around. Harvick probably got the free pass, and Jeff Gordon, Greg Biffle took the wave around. Michael Waltrip took the wave around. So we had 10 cars finish on the lead lap. Gordon led 27, second most. 218 laps led for yours truly, Dave Blaney. How about that? Dominating race. 2 hours, 27 minutes, 24 seconds. Total time in this one for the 400 miles, 267 laps. 1 caution, 21 lead changes. Sterling Marlin blew a motor. Jimmy Johnson blew a motor. Wonder why we didn't see him for a lot of the race. He was top 5 early, qualified 5th. Tony Raines blew an engine. Bobby Labonte, Reed Sorensen. That Greg Quick guy was in the 178. That's who we kept catching there for a while. Kurt Busch blew an engine. I know it's Kurt because he led a couple laps early. And that's the 2 laps led there. Foster blew a motor. And that was it for engine failures. So it looks like 8 engine issues, 7 DNFs in tonight's race. We get to see old Dave Blaney in victory lane again. Let's go. That was a close camera shot, by the way. Game is muted. Appreciate you guys telling me that every night, just in case I forget. The next race will be tomorrow night at Atlanta. It'll be a 50% race, so just 163 laps. 62, somewhere around there, probably 63. So 163 lap race at Atlanta, 250 miles. It'll be a quick one. We'll check out who's in the points lead. Max points day is huge for us. Blaney was never that buff, though. Hey, he is now. He's winning races. Yeah, you guys are right. Dale Jr. is the points leader now, 23 points ahead of Ryan Newman. And Blaney's moved up to third, 32 back. All right. We're 7th coming in, 3rd now. Sadler, our 500 winner, still 5th in points. Kurt Busch, even with the DNF, goes from the points lead back to 10th. And no big, upset guys up in the top 10 in points, at least. Mark Martin, who we drove as last season, still 7th in points, and he was lapped down for most of this race. All right, appreciate everybody tuning in. Be sure to hit the like button. We'll be back again tomorrow night, stream 8 p.m. Eastern, assuming the Xfinity race doesn't go long, whether that be because of a delay or not. We will go live for the Xfinity race, but the Cup race I will not. I will be at the Cup race on Sunday, so there will be a race highlight video from the grandstand. One quick kind of PSA out here as well. I was I've settled down, I guess, a little bit lately, but as far as my personal life goes, there was this guy at work I was somewhat close with. We weren't like super tight, I guess, but Close enough. You know, he was like one of my 3 favorite people that I would talk to on a weekend shift. He sadly passed away earlier in the week due to a motorcycle accident. Main reason I'm getting at here, essentially, a 16-year-old was just backing out of his driveway, middle of the country. Didn't see him. He was with his dad, actually. They were out riding together, and they were both in the accident. They both had severe injuries. The dad survived, but he did not. He was paralyzed from the neck down for like a week and then ended up passing away earlier this week, unfortunately. But moral of the story is here, you do have a license. Be sure to stop, look both ways. You know, I know the kid didn't mean it. So that's just kind of my PSA. It's been on my mind like all day today because I just found out the news last night. They had a local news article on that that I ended up, our local news ended up taking like a video or whatever, put like a package together on him or whatever. So definitely put me in a weird mood, I guess, the rest of the day. Very young too. He was younger than me. He was only like 22 years old, apparently. I knew he was around my age, but yeah. Be safe out there. Know the rules of the road. You know, be sure to look both ways, and I'll see you back better than ever again tomorrow. Sorry to end things on like that somber note, but yeah, it's just something I kind of wanted to get off my chest. Didn't want to wanted to make sure I had your full attention, that we weren't in the midst of a race or whatever, because it is a serious thing that I've been, like I said, I've been thinking about it all day. So, um, appreciate your support as always. As far as the channel goes, I'll see you back better than ever. Good chance we'll have that double header tomorrow, assuming the Xfinity Series race does not get a rain out. And yeah, again, appreciate it. Have a good one, everybody. Drive safe, and see you tomorrow.